morning, everybody. Welcome to my channel. It's 8:10 a.m. April 13th. Now, of course, over the weekend, over the weekend, no deal is made with Iran, so the markets opened up, gapping down. Now there's a big gap from Friday's close. Now the market was down more earlier, has since recovered a little bit, so we'll have to see. Crude is back up over $104 a barrel, up almost 8%. VIX is up 11.18%. So that's what's going on this morning. And they're talking about blocking Iranian exports, the U.S. Navy. So there's this. It's crazy. It's who knows how long this is gonna last. You just don't know. You really just don't know. Um, Quick little recap from Friday. Myself, I took one trade. It was a short. Got a nice 2-to-1 target. And this was based on my thesis from the pre-market scenarios that my proprietary indicator that I have for my expected move indicator, SPY, QQQ, and the SPX, all were over their expected move when the market opened. And I said there's not much room to the upside. 70% of the time, the markets close within inside the expected range of the week. Okay, so this is especially, just really show you quickly here. Here's SPY QQQ. This is my indicator here with that green line. That's the expected move. Notice where the QQQ closed, right underneath it. Notice the SPY closed underneath it. And then if we go to the SPX here, here's the expected move green line. Look where the market closed. SPX right on the expected move. You can't make that up. I give that away for free in my Discord. Now, when all three, SPY, QQQ, SPX, all hit their expected move to the upside, of course, there's many stocks that hit their expected move to the upside as well. Your run is probably over. You really have to smash through that expected move to really push it outside of the range and it can really fly. But when it kind of plays with it, that doesn't go too much farther. I'm probably going to make a video on it because let's just see real quickly here. I'm pretty sure I put that in my thesis here, my Discord, or my pre-market scenarios here. Let's see here. Yes. So this is time stamped. Okay. About 9:12 a.m. Right here I said it. Cautious, range bound. Markets hit weekly expected moves to the upside in all three instruments. SPX, SPY, QQQ. Overhead supply heavy. Michigan consumer sentiment at 10 a.m. Avoid new trades into that print. Range day likely without a news catalyst. Okay. So I had to go with my plan, right? Had a short. Almost got stopped out by a couple ticks, but I didn't. And then I held for my target. So pretty nice. Pretty nice trade. Like I said, I'm probably going to do a trade recap. I haven't done one in a while. Okay. Another thing that happened was Nvidia hit its 190 level, and that's what made the market fall. Semis were out of control on Friday. They were a problem for my trade for a second, and then they came back down to earth. So that's that. All right. Just wanted to add that. Now let's just get right into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. I use market profile and volume profile to find structure in the markets along supply and demand. Gamma exposure level is the most traded price of the week, of the year, the week, and the previous day. All right. I use all that to come up with game plans. Of course, when the market opens, I use my bread and butter, my market internals, my weekly expected move, anchored VWAPs. Okay, a little ICT and smart money concepts thrown in there. All right, now hopefully you join me every morning. Subscribe, set that alert, give you the market story, an economic calendar, leaders and laggards. technical analysis, and I leave you with the long and short trade scenarios in the NASDAQ and the ES futures. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube page, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Okay, now, real quick, back to my Discord, because I didn't go over it. Okay, so pre-market scenarios, you get that, but the weekly expected move, I still have to drop that because I didn't want to drop it yet. I already ran my script, but this was the script for last week. Okay, so I drop it here every Monday morning, and it's for Thinkorswim. I think it's awesome edge to have. Okay, and my performance recap last week, you can see right here, hit 4 or 5 of my ES scenario hit rate. You could see right there, weekly breakdown, and my performance. I had over a 4.5 plus R for the week. Prior week, I was slightly down, and then the week before that, I had 11 plus 7.5 R. Okay, so this is my track record, daily receipts here every day of what I'm calling what the market, what I feel will do. Okay, so hopefully I see you in my Discord. Now, let's get right into futures watch list. You can see that VIX is up 11%. Okay, at a 21.36 VIX. You can see crude over $104 a barrel. 10-year yield is up 1%. Now, just to let you know, crude and a 10-year yield seem to move in sync with each other. Okay, dollar's up 0.36. 30-year bonds are being sold. ES is down 0.65. Nasdaq's down 0.65. Russell down 0.76. Dow's down over 1%. Gold down over 1%. Silver down 2.73. Ethereum down 3.12, and Bitcoin's down 3.29. So Bitcoin's kind of hanging around that 70K. Mag 7 Plus here. The lone positive is Netflix. Okay. We'll go over the 1%ers that are down. Amazon Amazon down 1%. Meta down 1%, GE down over 1%, Broadcom down over 1%, Google down over 1.16, AMD up down 1.30, Nvidia down 1.5%, JP Morgan down over 1.5%, and Coinbase, the Bitcoin proxy, down 2.20%. Top sector stocks here. Palantir is getting love. Now, Donald Trump was touting Palantir on Friday. All right, Chevron and Exxon getting love. Now, let's see here who's down. Visa down 0.61. Oracle is down 0.5%. Disney down 0.68. Caterpillar down 0.91. Home Depot down 1%. NEM mining stock 2.1 down 2.10, and Goldman Sachs is down 4.22%. Why is that? Why are they down that much? Let's see. Oh, earnings. I didn't even realize that. I think earning weeks is starting probably with the banks this week. 4/13 before market. That's today. So financials in the toilet right now. All right. Let's go to these sectors. Energy's leading. No surprise there. But let's go here. Industrials down 0.68. 0.60. Discretionary down 0.68. Technology down 0.76. Financials down 0.91. So financials with the Goldman Sachs. That's also why the Dow would be down more. Goldman Sachs. Semiconductors down 0.92. Alrighty. Gonna move on here to the economic calendar. Now my voice is like this because my daughter's travel soccer game was yesterday, and I guess every time I can't stop it, I lose my voice a little bit. So I guess that's going to be a weekly trend on Monday mornings. Hold on a second, let me just get that economic calendar. Okay, boom. All right, here we go. Today we have existing home sales, 10 a.m. That doesn't really move markets too much, but just be wary of it. Okay. This week we have PPI, Fed speak, Fed speak, Fed speak. There's a bunch of Fed speaking this week. Okay, and it looks like we have bank earnings. Let me pull that up for a sec. Give me a sec. Let me see. I'm gonna see here. Give me 1 second here. I didn't realize that we had. Ooh, okay, okay. We got some earnings this week. Earnings season starting. I'm gonna download that right now. All right, why is that not giving me that option? Okay, here we go. Give me 1 sec, folks. Earnings season is upon us, which means a lot of it's hard to have swing positions on the indexes with this. Let me pull up the earnings. Okay. Usually banks kick off the earnings. Here we go. So, we have this morning Goldman Sachs. Let's see what else we have. JP Morgan tomorrow. BlackRock, Citibank, CarMax, Johnson & Johnson, Wells Fargo, so Albertsons. Who else? ASML, Asemi, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, Progressive Insurance, PNC Bank. Ooh, TSMC, semis. On Thursday, Charles Schwab, PepsiCo. That's a staple. Bank of New York Mellon. Let's see here. Travelers Insurance. So insurance, financials, Abbott Labs. It's obviously healthcare. Netflix. Alcoa, aluminum. Let's see here. Ally Bank. And that's it. So earnings season is officially upon us. Okay. I don't know why Goldman Sachs. Something must have happened. Okay. All right. Let's go back to this. Alrighty. Let's do it. Let's go to. I don't think here. There's nothing news breaking here. So basically, like I said, there's going to be a blockade in focus for the Strait of Hormuz. Trump's going to possibly thinking about blocking their exports, so we know that. Let's see what the risk is today. After the weekend standstill in U.S.-Iran peace talks, Trump authorized a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, sending oil prices back above $100 a barrel. So Trump says this here: United States to blockade ships entering or exiting Iranian ports on April 13th at 10 a.m. Eastern. Trump weighs limited strikes on Iran. Okay. Let's look at Trump's schedule. Let's see. Looks like he's in the Netherlands. Or maybe the Netherlands are here. Oh, yeah, the Netherlands. The King and Queen of Netherlands are here. All right, so he'll probably say something during the day. Let's look at some news. We know U.S. to blockade Iran ports. States insurers await needed details to implement new U.S. Medicaid work rules. Baker Hughes sells Waygate unit to Hexagon. UK regulators to rush to assess risks of latest Anthropic AI model. Okay. Trying to see here. See if there's anything else here to talk about. Not really. All right, let's do a breath check. So, bullish percent index of the SPX went down a little bit, but really middling. 50%, 58% of stocks on buy signals. Now, I would assume the Nasdaq. Let's see. Yes, it went down 52%. So 2 days it went down. Money coming out of the index. Okay. Now we're going to drill a little farther into the infotech sector itself. Yeah, that came down. Okay, we were almost up to 70. Went down to 59. That's a lot of the SaaS software companies taking a big hit. Thursday and Friday took big hits. ServiceNow, Atlassian, Intuit, Adobe, getting smoked. Okay. Now let's go to the financials. Financials, remember they were oversold here. They went down a little bit to 63%. Okay. Now, is there staples or value? Yep, staples. Let's see what staples at. Whoa. Okay, interesting. Look at the move in staples. This is pretty oversold, staples. Interesting. Only 33% of buy signals. Now remember, the weird part about when we really got the news of the ceasefire, staples were getting bought. They were the leader that day. And I was like, wow, staples are the leader? So it's kind of almost like the market's calling this the bluff of this pushback, this rise. We'll have to see. I don't know. Okay. So that's our breath. We can look at one more thing here. Let's see. I always forget this freaking thing. 50. Let's try this 50. I always forget it. There we go. All right. So now the breadth overall for the market got a little worse. Obviously, 44% above the 50-day moving average. Let's just check in the 20. The 20, remember, is a quicker moving average. So 67% over the 20. So that makes sense. But you can so this is like when you go up into the 75, 80, that's what it did. We pull back. That makes sense. All right, I think we can move on now. We're going to move on to that market internals recap here. You're going to see also why these internals called the bluff of the market on Friday. Only thing was holding it up was semis. So here's the market internals recap. So market opened up, right? And it was just ranging. At this time, the market was not strong. The only thing that was semiconductors. Nvidia was out of control. Money really flowed into semis. Okay. And I got short when it got up into here. And then I was like, nice, it's pushing down. And then semis and Nvidia kept getting stronger and stronger and stronger until Nvidia hit 190. And that was all she wrote. And then boom. See what happened here? This is where internals are so key because this is telling me the market's not strong. Okay, and then look what happened. Oof. Okay, and it just couldn't get ahead of itself. And look at tech. Tech was only flat, and everything else was weak. That's the only outlier there. Okay, it's the power of internals. Because the market can't outperform internals. The market can't look like this, like middling, and be at a highs and think you're going to keep going. I already knew that we were on borrowed time to the upside. Okay, of course, you never know, but it's a probabilities game. Okay, now moving on. Let's get it right into that daily charts now. Now I left my expected move indicator on here to show you, okay, what comes with the indicator. You get the expected move, the range, the close of Friday. So there's last Friday's close. Look at that, right there. Expected move to the downside, expected move to the upside. Look where that market hit into. Okay, right there. And I was like, all right, I don't think we got much more to go here. And that indicator is a beautiful thing. Okay, now where are we at now? 675.20. We're all the way here. So we're pretty much at Thursday's open right here and the 50-day moving average. Let's look at futures now. Okay, futures hitting right at the 50-day moving average right now. Now you can see we're in between this big day here. So you can say that's a daily fair value gap, whatever. Okay, right in this area, this pocket. So let's see what we do. We're not in a great place. It's really like in a no man's land. Okay. All right. Let's move on. QQQ. Here's the expected move to the upside in the QQQ. The QQQ literally closed on the expected move. Now, QQQ is in such a big trading area. Look at this trading volume. And you'll see it in the futures too. I have the most traded price of the rolling year and the current year are all together. And already I know this is not an easy trade. This is such, look at it like traffic. That's going to slow it down. Okay, you don't have any poor structure here. I thought we could hit 613, but now where are we at in the Qs? Oh, we're at 607. 607 and 607 20s, which is right there. Okay, so middling again. Let's go to futures. So futures bouncing off the 50-day moving average. Okay, look at the trading, all this trading range in here. We're right in the middle of it. So Monday, right now I'm looking at it. Quorums, I probably will have a setup come, but I'm not excited about where we're at. Okay, moving on to we're gonna move on to the hourly charts now. Let's get my marker out. Let's go to the hourly charts now. Okay, so we opened up with a gap. Okay, we opened up right there. And then what did we do? Went into an unfilled gap and a huge bullish FVG. Okay, pushed up, consolidated, pushed up where? To the most traded price of the week. That's 68.15. So again, I always say it, when the markets are indecisive, you go back to the warm snuggly bed. 68.15 is your most traded price of the week. Okay, and then what did we do? We came up right into here, this area, found selling, and then you went right into demand, and now found buying right at the week to date anchored view up. Okay, so this is, let's put a little volume profile on it just so I can show you here, give some visual. We'll start right from this candle. Boom. Where does that go? See that? Most traded price of the week right there, right on my the box that I put on the chart. Right there, you can see is the most traded volume. Right before this big explosion. Okay? And I love the volume profile because look, if you just look at the volume profile and don't look at candles, I can look here and see this low volume node, and what is that going to be? It's going to be a pivot level. It's going to be a support and resistance. Look at this. There's your candle pivot, and look at all the support, support, support. Beautiful, right? I love it. And low volume nodes are looked at as pivot points, or they can get blown right through. Okay, so there's your evidence of the volume, right? So this right here, expect a little choppiness there. Okay, so what we're going to look at today is, all right, we have some demand built out here. We know we have past trading volume here. Now there's a big gap up here. Does this get filled today? I don't know. I think we have a good shot of just trading in this range today. Okay, let's look at the Qs, or the Nasdaq futures. Okay, same look, right? The only difference is this is the most traded price right here of the rolling year from a year ago today. Okay, that price is roughly 25237s, right? And then you have the most traded price of this year, 25032s. Right here, you can see it, 25032s. And where was price, right? Where are we at? Right here. Now, the Nasdaq is very much closer to the gap where it opened up. It almost filled it. So, it's closer to fill that gap. Okay? Let's do a little visual with the Nasdaq as well. The volume profile. We'll start right down here, just like we did in the ES. Push it over. Actually, I don't think I pushed it over all the way. Let's do that right there. Okay, so you can see most traded price of this year, still the most traded price, and this time. Remember, I'm just going from this time. Okay, you can see the most traded price of the week is here, and what do we got? We don't have the low volume node, like that big chasm in the like you did in the ES. You don't have that, right? So this is what we're doing, folks. I think we're going to just trade in this range. You can see the value area high, 25280s to 24964s. That's probably the playground for today. Okay, it's probably the playground for today. I could see a big range. I'm sorry, not a big range day, but a range day. Really, because you have this consolidation, you have this consolidation, and we're trading here. Unless something, like I said, news catalyst comes out, I think we just trade inside. We trade like this today, and it's Monday. Okay. All right. Let's move on. We're gonna move on to the market profile, bond profile. And I always like to look at this broken out. That's the best way. I like to look at the markets because it's clearer for me to come up with game plan. Okay, so let's go over to that ES market profile and volume profile. So here's your market profile and volume profile. All right, let's look at this. Let's look at this together. So we're going to start off with the ES. Okay, long and short trade scenarios. Let's break the session out. All right, that's the price action, right? So we are gapping down. So the first thing we want to mark off in the ES is the gap fill, which would be Friday's lows, 68.46. So we mark that level off. That's our gap fill. Okay. The next thing you want to mark off is your 50% retracement of the overnight session, which is 67. Let's just call it 6,800. Is right here. Okay. 68.15 is your most traded price of the rolling week. We're right there. That's the most traded price of the overnight. That is not a surprise. That is not a surprise. Okay. So, how are we going to play this? Let's get right into it. Okay. Let's get right into it. So, starting off with the long scenario in the ES. Okay. So, we're currently at 68.15. Okay. There's two ways you can play this. What would I would like to see? Well, if the market, right, opens up, pushes away, pushes up into the gap, and then retests 68.15, your most traded price of the week, I'm going to target the gap fill, which is your 68.46s. Okay. Then maybe come all the way up here to the close of Friday, 68.56. Go back into Friday's range. Okay. Now, if the market opens up, drops back, pulls back into this demand zone. Okay. So two levels we want to look at. There's a demand zone. That level is 68.07. And then we have a bullish fair value gap starting at 6,800. which is also the 50% retracement of the overnight session. Okay, so if we pull back in this area and find buyers, right? I'd like a little, I mean, a deeper pullback probably be a little nicer, but we'll see. And then you get a lower high. You're going to target the 68.15 first. Then see if you find acceptance above the 68.15s. If you do, hold it. Target gap fill, 68.46, and see if you can get some higher prices. Okay? Now, there is another long here. Okay? If the market was to drop in down to the 67.80s, that is an unfilled gap and a bullish fair value gap. Okay? And the market, let's say, is not very weak. It comes down here quickly. I want to see if that overnight low gets tagged and we push out of that gap in bullish FEG. Support in this area is bullish. Let's say you get a lower high, you're going to target the 68.15. So there's actually 3 scenarios I gave you for the longs today. Okay, let's go into shorts. Shorts. Now, we're going to play off that 68.15 level. And I don't think it'll be easy, but we're going to do it. Okay? So the first thing I would like to see is if we drive down right into this demand and this bullish FEG around 6,800 and you get buying and you retest 68.15 and let's say you fail to find acceptance above it, go back under it, retest the 68.15s and the market's not looking great, you're going to short. You're going to target the overnight lows, 67, 67. Okay? Now, if the market is very weak, this is all poor structure, and this could really fall. I don't know if we fill that gap. I'm just saying there's a possibility if this falls apart. I'm not sure it does that, but you got to keep it in the cards. Okay? Now, the only thing, let me try to think about this. Would I want to short a gap fill? Not sure about that. I'm not sure about that. Because if the market pushes up and fills the gap, you could short it, but I don't like it. I only like that short right now. Okay? That's the ES. Let's go to NASDAQ here. All right, here's NASDAQ. Remember, NASDAQ almost filled that gap. Okay? So, let's get into the long and short trade scenarios in NASDAQ. All right, we are gapping down. So, what do? Mark off the gap fill. Friday's lows, 25222. Next thing, the 50% retracement of the overnight. That is 25054. Okay, we do have the 25084s is the most traded price of the week right here, just like 68.15 in the ES. Okay, we have demand, bullish for value gaps below this level. Okay, so I think, like in the ES, I didn't say this, but I think the easier move right now is probably to the upside. Okay, so let's get into scenarios. I'm going to start off with the long scenario in the NASDAQ. Okay, so that 25080s is the most traded price of the week. So what would I like to see? Well, a pullback into this demand. There's demand right here on 251s, which happens to be also encompass the most traded price of the week and the most traded price of this year. Okay, if you find support there, push up, retest that 25080s. Okay, you're gonna want to go long, and you're gonna want to target the gap fill at 25222. Okay, I'm not sure how much higher you can get from that. I would say that's a good target. Okay, Now, if the market was to push lower, okay, you also have demand at around the 250s. If you get some buying in here, you could also look to go long and target gap fill. And again, I'm going to give you a third. If the market comes down, and I want to see this very quickly, test the 24914s, and there's also an unfilled gap. That unfilled gap starts at 24925s. That also has a bullish FEG there. Okay? So, it has to come quickly in here. Why? Because I don't want the market to get steam of being weak. I want it quick. So, if we come in here and then we close back inside the range of the overnight, you put a lower high in, you're going to target the 25080s. Okay? Anything above that is gravy. Okay? Shorts. Now, the short here is more viable for a gap fill in the NASDAQ, unlike the ES. So in the NASDAQ, right here, see we're heading towards the gap fill. Okay? So there is a short here. You also have the most traded price of the rolling year here. Right? At 25230s. So if we push into gap fill, right, we're hitting that most traded price of the rolling year. Okay? Any kind of rejection here and a retest of 25222, you short it, targeting the most traded price of the week, the 25080s. Okay? Then there's a bunch of demand down here. Be my guest to see if we can get through all that. I'm not sure. Okay? Honestly, that's the only one I like. And I don't even know what the market's going to be like. Okay? I'll give you one more. All right? If the market does tend to go up back inside the range of Friday, there is supply at 25308s. You might get a short in here, right? And you might target the 25230s. That's a little short. I'm not a big fan of it, but it is viable. Okay, but really, the first scenario I gave you is probably my favorite. That is it, folks. Okay, now I want to show you daily charts real quick in the ES. So look at the ES. Most traded price of the rolling year is 6938. We're not there yet, right? We're not there yet. Now the NASDAQ, look at that. Remember I told you this is the most traded price right here of the rolling year? Right there. Look at all of this trading. Look at the volume. We're right there. It's going to be very hard for this market to just rip up or rip back down. We're playing with the 200-day moving average. We're in the middle of the 100-day, the 50, and the 200. Let's look at the moving averages in the ES. ES, the same thing. Look at this web. 100-day moving average, 200-day moving average in the red. The white is 50. You're in the web. Okay, so I don't think this market is going to be able to just rip somewhere, rip in some direction. Okay, one more look at the volume. Okay, the ES, you can see the most traded price of the year, most traded price of this year here. And then the NQ, you can see all this trading volume here. You can see the most traded price of the rolling year, the most traded price of this year. So we're in such heavy volume here, right in the middle of it. I mean, look at that. You're right in the middle of it. So I get you guys get my point. You guys get my point. Okay? That is it for me, folks. Please smash that like button if you enjoyed my analysis. Okay, that would help me out a lot. Now, subscribe, set that alert. Do this every morning. Give it a market news, the economic calendar, the leaders and the laggards. Okay? Technical analysis, and I just gave you the long and short trades scenarios. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. All right? Come join me. Most likely we'll be going live at 9:50 a.m. hopefully you come join me. Okay? Now, we have our plan. Okay? Now, my little overall market talk that I like to talk about, okay, for today. It is Monday. We do have crude up, right? We know the deal was not made, but we gapped down now, so we priced that in a little bit. Understand that. We're pricing it in with the opening up gap down. Okay? Now the market priced that in a little bit. So be wary of that. That's why I think the I'm going to edge a little more on a long today, but I'm not against a short. I'm a little more on the long side. And I think we're probably going to balance today. Okay, we opened up with a gap. So I think the market is indecisive, and you're probably going to have a long and possibly a short in the day, but I'd probably lean on the long. Just understand that the way we look right now, it's looking to trade in a range. Okay? The way the market structure is right now, I believe we should range today. I don't think anything outsized moves are going to happen, again, unless a news catalyst. Okay? So, now that we know that, I wish everybody to have a great day. Remember, no trades trade. Hope everybody had a green day if you guys can. All right? Now, hopefully, I see you in my Discord. Ask as many questions as you like, or I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. All right, everybody, take it easy.